All right, everyone, welcome back. Peak Performance Podcast, episode 4. Today is March 18th, 2025. We've got a special episode today for sure. Obviously, we are in the thick of March Madness right now. Last week, we had Conference Championship Week, which was absolutely thrilling as always. And now, this week coming up today, actually, we've got the playing game starting. And then Thursday, that's when the big dance starts. So alongside me today, we've got co-host as always, Shane Kelly. And then obviously, as you can see as well, we've got a new face today. We've got Brendan Crawford joining us, who is also a sports psychology graduate student at Fresno State. And so, yeah, welcome, guys. And let's hear your initial reactions to the bracket coming out and you know, what you think about it.
There was a lot of controversy over North Carolina getting in. I'm going to put on record, I'm glad they got in. And that is a polarizing take, I know, but I just think they're a better team than Indiana. I don't care about their quad one record. If you take away the two games against Duke, they're riding an 8 game winning streak. And I think that has to mean something. Where Indiana is 5-5 in their last 10. I want teams that are playing their best basketball. UNC was a lane violation away from beating Duke in the conference tournament. They're playing good basketball. I think they're the better team. And I have them going pretty far.
Hmm.
So I'm glad they got in the tournament.
Very interesting.
Many
So
people
their
might not like that, but it's fine.
their journey starts tonight against the San Diego State Aztecs.
Mhm.
Obviously, for me, I'm staying loyal to San Diego. I'm going with the Aztecs. I'm taking them. But I think UNC right now they're playing a pretty good brand of ball for sure. Um, I just think that it was shocking to see West Virginia not on there with their resume. I think they're like 6-10 against quad one opponents or something like that this year. Like they're pretty good resume, and so yeah, it's a pretty great bracket shaping up for sure. So now we want to hear a little bit from Brendan. Brendan, just give us
Yeah,
a little
Initial
bit of a
thoughts?
yeah, just initial thoughts, and give our audience an idea of who you are, and yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Well, first off, gotta say thank you guys for having me on. Big fan of the first three episodes, like where the pod's headed. Um, I did want to touch on like what Shane was saying. I don't agree that UNC should be in it, but now that they're in it, I do kind of think they're going to go on a bit of a run, just because that always seems to happen with these blue bloods and these brands. They don't always have the best resume, but they get in the dance and they start dancing. They always make some noise. So yeah, I said I touched on that. A little bit about me, like you said, grad student, in the program with you guys. As of last Friday, I became the general manager of the Peak Performance podcast.
Yeah.
And you might be thinking, what does a GM of a podcast do? And I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm gonna do my best to whatever I can to make sure the podcast keeps going strong. Uh, Make sure episodes, yeah, just keep coming out because I think I got a good thing going between you two, and I'm excited to see how this adventure keeps on going and growing.
The
Hmm.
viewers might not know this, but within 24 hours of us posting a video, we get feedback from Brendan.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I
Yeah,
like this part. I hated that part. He hated the fact I took Florida in the SEC.
Hmm.
yeah.
We get instant feedback from sure, and dude's a goofball. I mean, he just is, and once you really get to know him, just a great guy. And yeah, to be honest, this whole general manager thing, I think Brendan knew he was the general manager of the podcast before me or Shane even knew that he was the general manager of the
It
podcast.
yeah, it might have been a self-appointed title.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And that's okay though. We love the honesty, to be honest with you. And and we're happy to have him on the team for sure.
All right,
So
well,
yeah, now let's get into some bracket talk. Obviously, tonight we've got the first playing games going on. Um, UNC and San Diego State are playing, and then who is the 16 seeded matchup?
it's Alabama State versus
St. Francis,
St. Francis. Yeah.
PA.
Huh? Okay, and obviously Mr. Kelly said he has, UNC going for a little run, and Brendan shared as well that he thinks it's possible. So, what do you guys think about that game tonight between North Carolina and San Diego State?
I've watched these teams probably an unhealthy amount. Um, San Diego State has a tendency to come out slow. They lost a lot of first halves against weak teams from the WCC. UNC, on the other hand, is fighting a narrative that they shouldn't even be there. So I think you have the case where one team tends to come out slow and the other team is going to come out hot. I would not be surprised if it's a 10-15 point game at half. And I don't know if SDSU has the offensive firepower to get back in the game. I probably have UNC winning this by anywhere from 7 to 10 points.
Yeah,
Mm.
I feel like SDSU has always been known for their hard ground and pound defense and just physicality. I agree. It's gonna be tough for their offense to keep up with UNC for sure. I mean, this is what March is all about, though. You can have analysis, and then you
It
can
doesn't
also
matter.
just be like, screw it. You're going to see that a lot with Mr. Crawford today. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a
So
guy that makes his picks based off of personality, and it doesn't have much to do with really diving into things, which is perfect, and that's why March is great.
That
Um,
being said, should I share the bracket so we can get going?
yeah, let's do it. So Shane is going to pull up a bracket. Pretty much a blank one for you guys to see. And um, yeah, we're pretty much just going to give our insights on each of the first round games. And yeah, we'll just go from there and pretty much provide you guys with our brackets and our opinions on March. So Shane, take it away with the first game. Let's head to the South region in the upper left.
So we got Auburn versus the winner of Alabama State and St. Francis. I think Alabama State and St. Francis are playing for nothing but pride tonight. I don't see Auburn. I don't see a world where Auburn doesn't blow out whoever they play round one.
hmm
agreed.
So
I've
I'm going with
I've got
Auburn.
Auburn too.
Nothing
I've
crazy.
got Auburn.
Yeah, Auburn. No notes.
The next matchup is where things get a bit interesting.
hmm
Creighton versus Louisville. There's been a lot of debate again over why Louisville is a number 8 seed. They were runner up in their conference tournament with some impressive wins along the way. They're the number 10 ranked AP team in the country. So an 8 seed feels kind of disrespectful. That being said, Creighton feels like a weirdly strong 9 seed. They are a phenomenal team led by Ryan Cockbrenner and Stephen Ashworth. And even though Louisville's been disrespected and it's going to be kind of a home game for them, I love the Big East. I'm rolling with Creighton.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. Both of these teams are underseeded. I expected Louisville to be a 6, maybe a 7, but not as low as an 8. Um, and then Creighton, I expected to be, in the same range, 6 to 8, and they were a 9. But I don't know. Both these teams are playing, it feels like they're playing pretty good basketball right now,
Yeah.
which is always important going into March. Um, Love the veteran presence on Creighton as well. You got Kalkbrenner in there, the big fella, who almost averages a double-double a game, and then you got Steven Ashworth too, running the point for them. I tell you what, though, I'm gonna go with Louisville. And the reason why I'm going to go with Louisville in this one is because it's being played in Lexington, Kentucky. I think that Louisville will have a big home court advantage for themselves. And I'm going with Chucky Hepburn and the Cardinals getting it done in their home state.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Louisville too. Uh, this is kind of where that sort of lack of ball knowledge is gonna come out because I know nothing about either of these two teams, but I know Louisville's ranked 10 in the country and they're an 8 seed, and that makes zero sense to me whatsoever. So I'm taking Louisville just for that reason. I think they got a chip on their shoulder because that reaction video, their team was kind of like they were happy they were in, but they're like, how are we an 8 seed? I think they'll play a little harder and tougher. And didn't know it was in Lexington. I like that a lot. Helps my point. So Louisville.
I saw that same video and their team looked stressed when they found out they were playing Creighton round one, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it will
Well,
be
I
a home
mean,
game. I think it's one of the best games of the first round on paper, at
oh,
least.
for sure.
Hopefully it plays
Absolutely.
out that way, but that should be an electric matchup.
Hmm.
I am excited for the next couple.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this region is awesome for sure.
Nothing to be said. Give me the Tritons.
Oh, yeah.
I've been talking about them for months. I think they're one of the best mid-majors, not just this year, we've seen in the last decade. Best turnover margin in the country. They play elite defense and they're surrounded by shooters. They do struggle with size, so Michigan does have an advantage inside, but I've seen this Triton team play. I love them. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really interesting draw for sure because you've got Michigan. That program is has just totally flipped the switch pretty much. You win a Big Ten championship with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden leading the way, but UC San Diego is UC San Diego. The Tritons are just that they're a great defensive team and they force a lot of turnovers, and unfortunately, Michigan turns the ball over quite a bit. And I think that this is a really, really tough draw for them. I really do. I'm going with the Tritons as well. Halen, got to go back to the San Diego roots as well. You got to go with the Tritons here, though. I mean, it's the fun pick for sure.
It's a great
But
story
yeah.
too. It's their first year being eligible for March
Hmm.
Madness. They won 30 games this season in a disrespected Big West. It's competitive.
Hmm. For sure.
Yeah. Consensus pick. I'm taking UC San Diego too. I'm honestly taking them because of Shane. I heard him talking about them in one of our classes a few weeks ago. Learned the story about it's their first year of eligibility. Love that. I think they'll be hot. So I'll take them over Michigan.
And one more thing I want to add for that game. Um, UC San Diego has a guy named Niwa Tate
Tate
Jones.
Jones.
How can you go against that, baby?
That's the
How
name
can
of
you go
March.
against that? It's the best name in March. Go with the Tritons.
Aniwa Tate Jones. And he's a baller. He's
Oh, he's great.
conference player of the year. He's not just
Hmm.
some scrub off their bench.
No, really good player for sure.
Do we see a potential upset? We got the Aggies against Yale. The
Yes.
Ivy League has had success in the last couple years. Princeton, Yale, both causing big upsets last 2 years. Brendan, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, no, that's literally my entire thought process. Ivy League schools have won in the first round the past two tournaments. I say they go for three in a row. Everybody's huge on the SEC, and it could be again because I don't watch college basketball. But when I see a conference that has so many teams and everyone says they're so good and they only play each other, I stray away from that. I think the SEC is going to get exposed. Could just be because I'm an SEC hater, but I like Yale here.
I mean, it's an interesting dynamic for sure. You've got Mr. Kelly, who is pro SEC. I'm pro SEC too. I think the SEC has been great this year. I think they're going to be great in the tournament as well. And then you've got Mr. Crawford, who is just anti-SEC to his core. Big Florida State Seminole fan though, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
go
Went there
Noles.
for his undergrad too, so it we'll give him that for sure. Um, I think in this matchup, I worry too because of the trend with the Ivy League schools. Um, I picked Texas A&M as my SEC champion when we were doing the conference tournament predictions, and they got bopped in their first game against Texas. I'm still gonna roll with the Aggies here. I like their style of play. I think Buzz Williams, he'll have those guys ready to go. I love the leadership that Wade Taylor brings to that team. And I just don't think that Yale has a good, or their team this year is as good as they were last year when they had Danny Wolf. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Aggies here.
I'm with Brendan. There's a formula I look for when it comes to mid majors causing noise. Do they turn the ball over and can they shoot? Yale doesn't turn the ball over and they could shoot lights out. So A&M got embarrassed by Texas. I just don't think that team's on a good path. I don't think the week off has helped them. I'm rolling with Yale. We got a 12-13 in the round of 32.
Love it.
Look at that. It's big time.
And we've already discussed the UNC SDSU game. We have differing opinions. But how do we think whoever you take matches up with Ole Miss?
So for me, I personally think that both of these teams lose to Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss. I like the way they played against Auburn. Um, I will get really worried though if UNC wins tonight because then they've kind of got this streak rolling and this momentum coming with them. So, I mean, you're still allowed to change the pick, and I might, but right now I'm sticking with Ole Miss.
Yeah. I give you a little insight on my ball knowledge. I didn't even know Chris Beard was the coach of Ole Miss until last night when I was doing a little bit of research. So he's a good coach. Seen him go on runs with some teams, but I like we were saying earlier, I think UNC is just going to be annoying and really just piss everybody off this March because they shouldn't even be in the tournament. But yeah,
I agree with both of you. If SDSU finds a way to win, I'm going to change my pick to Ole Miss to beat SDSU. With that being said, I got North Carolina. I'm going to roll with North Carolina again. I have them winning in the first round and riding that hot streak.
Going to
Iowa
be
State,
interesting. Go ahead,
Iowa
bud.
State is playing the best 14 seed in the tournament. Lipscomb is no joke.
Hmm.
I don't think it matters.
I don't either.
yeah, same. Iowa
I
State.
mean, even with Keyshawn Gilbert out for Iowa State,
They're so
they're
good.
too tough to beat, man.
They're so good.
Their toughness and physicality, it's just awesome. They're really really good. Um, I like Lipscomb for sure, but yeah, I'm taking Iowa State here.
I just think it's a tough, tough draw for them.
Oh yeah.
Iowa State is one of the better three seeds I'm looking around right now. It's they're better than Wisconsin, I think. Definitely a tough draw for them. We're back to the Big East. Marquette, New Mexico. New Mexico's got a very good team this year. But if I see the Big East is on the board, I click the Big East.
I
No,
did.
no other thought. I love Stevie Mitchell, but Big East is there. I'm taking him.
Yeah, so I was taking a little bit of notes last night. The only thing I wrote down for this game is picking Marquette because they're Big East. That's it. They're in the Big East. I
There we
like the Big
go.
East. I'm taking them.
Hmm. Yeah,
There
I
we
think
go.
besides San Diego State's Final Four run a couple years ago, the Mountain West has really, really struggled in the
Yeah.
NCAA tournament. I'm going to go with Marquette here as well. Uh, New Mexico, though, they're a good team for sure. Donovan Dent can really play. I just think that Marquette coming from the Big East, I totally agree. I think they get it done against the Lobos.
A lot of people called it a down year for the Big East. I disagree. I think the teams are just as good. They just beat up on each other so much. Other than the Johnnies, there wasn't one that stood out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's a conference that as a whole can make some noise. And that takes us into the last game of the first round within the Western or the Southern Conference. No doubt in my mind. Michigan State let me down in the conference tournament. I said they're head and shoulders above everybody else in that conference. I stand by that. I think they bounce back and roll over Bryant.
Yeah, love the Spartans this year. Tom is a legendary coach. He gets the job done.
Yeah, agreed. The quote, January, February, Izzo, April. Give me Michigan State.
That concludes the first round within the South. Moving up to the top, I know we have some different picks. I have Auburn versus Creighton. You guys have Auburn versus Louisville. I'm going to stick with my trend. I'm taking the Creighton Blue Jays.
Mm.
Wow, that's a big time pick.
And it's for
Wow.
one reason. Johnny Broome, Auburn's best player, and will be top two in NCAA Player of the Year voting. He's only 6'10". Ryan Cockbrenner is 7'2". I think that 4-inch height difference in the paint is going to be massive. And I think Broome's going to struggle. We've seen Auburn struggle recently, and it feels like if Creighton can keep this game close, Auburn might self implode. They have a lot of hotheads on their team. They get very frustrated. And I could just see Creighton frustrating them in this matchup. Obviously, you guys don't even
Yes.
have Creighton here, but
Yeah,
Right.
so I think that's what we'll do. We'll pretty much provide you guys with what we have for that part in our bracket. So in that, I have Auburn against Louisville. And I think because of Janai Broom's size in that game, he will be very successful. And yeah, I think Auburn's defense is just really, really good, really stout. I think they smother Louisville in Lexington, Kentucky too. That's another thing though that I worry about. Louisville's got that home crowd for sure. This is such an interesting part of the bracket though, for sure. I think Auburn definitely got a tough draw. I've got them moving on though to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I have Auburn moving on too. Um, don't know a whole lot about either of these teams. And even though I'm anti-SEC, Auburn's the one team I feel like I've been hearing about all year. And I've noticed recently that a lot of people and analysts are kind of starting to go back on their Auburn takes. They kind of think they're sort of fizzling out, and Florida, I guess, has taken over as the best team in the SEC, which kind of makes me like Auburn more. I don't know. I just always like going against what everyone else is saying, so I'll take the Tigers to keep fighting on.
That's
Or
fair.
yeah, Tigers. Yeah.
I have to. I have to take the Tritons. I love Yale. I got the Tritons rolling to the Sweet 16.
Oh boy.
Could you imagine?
I
It'd be
could for
beautiful.
sure.
It would be
I can't
beautiful.
imagine because I picked them too. I think they would be in the Sweet 16.
Let's go. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about there. Yale can only get carried by their shooting so far. Both of these teams can shoot, and both of these teams play good defense. I just think the Tritons do everything a little bit better than Yale. They defend better, they shoot better. I think they have the overall lead and edge in that game.
Yeah, so for me in this game, I've got UC San Diego going up against Texas A&M. I'm rolling with the Aggies here. I think that Buzz Williams and the Aggies get it done. Wade Taylor leads them to the Sweet 16. I wouldn't be shocked though if UC San Diego were to win here. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan were in this situation and they were to win this four-team tournament here. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Texas A&M here. I just like their defense. I like Wade Taylor a lot. I think he's one of the best guards in the country, so I'm going to go with them.
Going back a little bit to the Michigan game, the X factor is Vlad Golden.
100%.
If
Easily.
if he has a very good game, it's going to be tough for UC San Diego. But I don't care. Moving
Yeah, I
down,
mean, the thing is too with Vlad Golden, he's got that experience, the tournament experience. But when he was on at FAU, Florida Atlantic, and they made that, did they get to the Final Four? Was it all the
I
way to the
They
Final
believe
did.
Four?
so.
Um, he played well like every single game in that run. So he's a critical part of his team's success. He's got to play well for them to win for sure.
I if he drops 25 points, I think they win. If he's more in that 15 range, I think they lose.
Hmm.
I think it comes down to that. Moving down, I don't know if you guys are noticing a trend. I like the low seeds. I'm taking UNC again.
Mhm.
I I just think they're being disrespected and they're gonna ride the hot hand. And Elliot Cadeau and RJ Davis can carry a game. They can combine for 60, 70 points between the two of them if needed.
Yeah,
And
so
I love that team.
yeah, I'm trying to look up the I don't know what it is. The stats behind like an 11 seed that's in a play-in game typically makes it to the Sweet 16 like
Bro,
almost every year.
yeah, I think
UCLA
they go
made it to the
far.
final and lost off a buzzer
Hmm.
beater in this exact same spot.
Yeah, so I think it's always good to have one of the 11 seeded play-in games going a little deep because that seems like a pretty good trend in March. In this area of my bracket, so I got Ole Miss going up against Iowa State. I've gone back and forth with this one a lot. I just I like Iowa State a little bit more. I like their guards a lot. Obviously, no Keyshawn Gilbert, but still with Curtis Jones in there, he's so dominant with his ball handling, doesn't turn the ball over a lot. I like him to get the job done over the Rebels.
Yeah. I have Iowa State versus well, I'm assuming he's gonna be UNC. And I realized I was talking earlier that I had UNC going on a run, but I actually don't. I have Iowa State beating him here. So
Hey,
you
two
never know to
games. They got 2 wins.
That's true. They do get the play-in win. So yeah, okay. I like that. Yeah. But yeah, Iowa State over UNC here.
Brings us to the final round of 32 game. And this is the only one where a favorite's on the board and I'm clicking them. They're well coached. They're elite defensively. They're elite offensively. They're just an elite team. And I
I,
love Marquette. I love the Big East. I think Michigan State gets the job done.
I was about to say, going against the Big East here, pal. Are you
I
sure
am.
about that?
I am.
Well, guess what? I'm going to join you. Give me the Spartans for sure. I think they're just a better overall team than Marquette is. More consistent, love the defense, love the rebounding. I've got the Spartans going to Sweet 16.
Yeah. January, February, Izzo, April. Spartans.
This actually pains me to do. The Tritons run comes to a close. I can't take them to upset Ryan Cockbrenner. I think he's too big and they don't know how to guard him. I think Stephen Ashworth is more experienced than anybody on UC San Diego. And I think the Tritons' beautiful first run as an eligible team comes to a close here. Creighton to the
Okay,
Elite
Creighton
Eight.
in the Elite Eight.
It's this is why I love March because you get no matter what, everybody's going to create a different bracket. So like Shane's got Creighton going to his Elite Eight. I don't have Creighton winning a single game. I mean,
Yeah,
that
same.
just shows you the difference of opinions
I
here.
might have
And
them going even further. We don't know yet.
but that's the beauty of March. Just so hard to predict. It just is.
Hmm.
There's a reason
Um,
why nobody's ever had a perfect bracket.
exactly, and it'll
Until
never
mine.
happen
This is
either.
going to be the
Well,
first ever perfect bracket live on the podcast.
well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that'd be pretty sick.
That would be insane.
Um, so for here, I've got Auburn, the 1 seed, going up against Texas A&M, the 4 seed. I've really gone back and forth on this. Um, I so this is one of the situations in my bracket, and this might happen to you guys as well, but in this area, I like Michigan State the most. So here I'm just going to take Texas A&M to beat Auburn. I just don't see Auburn making it to the Final Four out of this region because it's so good. There's
I
so many
agree.
good teams. And so I think here I'm just going to take my stab and say Texas A&M beats Auburn like they did a couple of weeks ago before
They've
the
seen each
conference
other.
tournaments. They've seen each other before. I'm going with the Aggies here.
Yeah, pretty much going against everything you just said because I do have Auburn making the Final Four. So in my bracket, it's Auburn versus UC San Diego, and I'm taking Auburn.
That's fair. I love UC San Diego. Them against Auburn would not be pretty.
Mm-mm.
And
So,
here's where I think North Carolina comes to an end. I think they get hot, they make their statement, and getting to the Sweet 16 would be the statement that they deserve to be there. But Michigan State is simply the better team. I don't think there's much else for me to say.
Yeah, I've got Michigan State and Iowa State in this part of the bracket. Um, I've got the Spartans once again, man. I just think they were on such a good stretch and then got to the tournament, lost a really unlucky game to Wisconsin.
In a game where
And
Wisconsin couldn't miss a shot,
exactly.
eh, like
Um,
good defense didn't matter.
exactly. I love Michigan State here. I think this is, for me at least, with having Iowa State here. I think this is where not having Keyshawn Gilbert can hurt Iowa State in the big games like these against really, really good competition. I'm taking Michigan State to play against Texas A&M in the Elite Eight.
Hmm. I got Michigan State and Iowa State in this matchup. As much as I love saying January, February, Izzo, April, I think this is where Michigan State's run comes to an end. Because I mean, I love Izzo. I think he's entertaining, but he hasn't won a ring since 2000. Michigan State. I know they made Final Fours, but I don't know. I feel like they've just been not making it as deep as they always should be. So I'll take Iowa State.
And then my Southern Region champion heading to the Final Four is Tom Izzo. Not the team, just Tom Izzo. I'm rolling with Michigan State.
Yeah, so for my Elite Eight matchup in the South region, I've got 4 seed Texas A&M going against the 2 seed Michigan State. I agree. I'm going with the Spartans heading to the Final Four. Southern region champion.
Yeah, and I already basically said mine a few minutes ago, but got Auburn versus Iowa State. Give me the Tigers to win the what is this, South?
The South.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right,
All right.
let's move on. We want to do East or West?
Let's do
West.
Let's do
West. Yeah.
this is my favorite corner of the entire tournament. I think this is
Oh yeah.
absolute war. Trevor, I don't think there's much we need to say. I'll let Brendan go on his rant. We're both
hmm
taking Florida.
Yeah, I'm taking Florida for sure. Looked great in the SEC tournament last week. Obviously won that. They've got great guards. They've got basically hockey line changes of bigs going on. It's just awesome to see. I'm going with the Gators for sure.
Yeah, so I'm not going with the Gators for sure. And the thing about this is where I go back to the SEC. It's like, oh, it's the best conference or whatever. Okay. Well, Florida's best out of conference win is UNC, who everybody thinks shouldn't even be in the tournament, and it was only by 6 points. And so, like, to me, that's like, okay, so they just beat up on their conference, which might not actually be that good in the first place. So I think they're going to get exposed against Norfolk State. Norfolk State is, don't laugh, they are the only 16 seed to have a net top 100 win or net top 100 opponent win against one of them. I said that wrong. I'm rambling. I don't care. But they're the only 16 seed that has one of those wins. Uh, it feels like, everyone said UMBC, FDU, those were cupcakes or whatever. And then suddenly they're the first two teams to ever beat 1 seeds. I like Norfolk State. Um, I also think this is where it's not just about the sport and the play. I think karma comes into play here because,
Karma.
yes, because a couple years ago, my Florida State Seminoles were undefeated. They were looking to make the playoffs, and Jordan Travis tragically got hurt. And all the Gators fans and Miami fans, but all the Gators fans started making jokes about his ankle and his injury, and they said they didn't deserve to make the playoffs. And they just like to be so smug about everything. I think it's going to come back to bite them. And also, I mean, it's Florida. They guys like Aaron Hernandez and Ryan Lochte, Urban Meyer were on campus. Like these are just bad people that they allow to play at their university. And it's like we're supposed to put them on a pedestal and, you know, be happy about their success. So
Did
I
we
like
just get
Norfolk
an
State.
Aaron Hernandez name drop on the podcast?
Yes, Florida Gator. And if Norfolk State doesn't beat them, somebody will. Because I mean, I don't I like St. John's regardless, but yeah. So give me Norfolk State upset, and yeah, that's how I feel.
That that had to be two to three of the best minutes on the podcast so far. I mean, holy cow.
Oh,
He's
I don't know how we
throwing
could
around
beat
his
that.
words everywhere, just anti-Florida. Oh my
Spoken
God,
like a
that's
true
awesome.
Seminole. Well, getting
There
back
you
to my
go.
trend, if you guys couldn't figure it out, Big East on the board, click Big East. All I need.
Yeah, I grew up in Connecticut, college basketball capital of the world. Go Huskies. Taking UConn.
Yeah, I just love Dan Hurley. I think he's a psycho, but a good psycho.
He's
So I'm
definitely a
picking
psycho.
UConn.
Go
Yeah,
Rody.
But yeah, I like UConn.
So I've been kind of boring with the first two picks in the West. Here's where we get fun. Memphis, on paper, is the better team, but they're dealing with a lot of injuries. And also, they make games close that shouldn't be. Like they'll get up by 15, 20 points, then all of a sudden it's a 2 point game with 3 minutes left, and you're wondering how you got there. Colorado State is on fire. I just think this is a perfect 5-12 upset. Uh,
Yeah,
Not much more to say. I love Colorado
yeah,
State in
I've
this.
I've got Colorado State too. Obviously a little concerned with the Mountain West's recent record in the tournament, besides that San Diego State run. But I love how they're playing going into March. I think that's really, really important. You got to have momentum on your side heading into the tournament. Memphis has that too, but they've got that injury, um, the injury trouble. I'm going with the Rams, the Colorado State Rams, getting the job done. And the interesting thing about this game too is Colorado State is actually favored. The
Yeah,
betting line is -2.5 to Colorado State, even though it's a 12-5 seed matchup, which you don't see often, probably due to Memphis's injuries. But here I'm going to go with Colorado State. Moving on.
I did see something going off of that. A 12 seed has only ever been favored in two previous matchups against a five. They won both of those games, one of them by double digits.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear because I'm taking Colorado State too. Literally just because during Selection Sunday, one of the analysts said that Memphis has key injuries. So going based off that, I'll take Colorado State.
And a thing to
Yeah,
point
and
out, if this game is close, you could see a hack a Shack situation with Dane Danger. I
What a
watched
name.
him, fire name. Well, we'll get that's another probably top five name in the entire tournament. I
in,
watched him go 1 for 6 in the conference final on Selection Sunday. That can't happen. If it's close, Colorado State's down, they can say out of bounds play. They could have five
mhm,
guys defending three and just leave Dane Danger alone
mhm.
because he's not going to hit his free throws, and I need free throw shooting in this tournament
Yeah, I don't know why Penny hasn't learned to take that guy out in those situations.
because he's
But
so good.
he is good. He is good, but you can't make free throws. That's a big issue down the stretch. Um, Interesting thing here, though, is that so far we've gone over two 12-5 matchups, and all three of us are picking the 12 seeds for both matchups.
It's the best spot for an upset
It
historically.
Yeah, it
is.
really is.
The five seeds tend to be a little weak. The 12 seeds tend to be the strongest mid majors.
Hmm.
And strong mid majors have proven they can beat big schools. Yes, Memphis is also a mid major, but I think they're pretty weak. This next matchup pains me because I actually love the GCU team this year. They're experienced, they're great, but Derek Queen is too much to handle. He's an absolute monster. I could see him going for 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 blocks in this game. And I'm rolling with the Terrapins.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I really like Grand Canyon a lot. Obviously, they've got the experience from last year's tournament where they won their first round game and then almost beat Alabama in the second round. Like you said, though, Maryland's they're really, really good. They've been unlucky this year, I feel like, lost a lot of close games.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, Derek Queen, you look at Mount Verret Academy with basketball, and from last year's team, you think of guys like Cooper Flag and Liam McNeely, but their starting center on that team was Derek Queen, who's now just dominant,
A
probably the
beast.
best freshman center in the country. I've got Maryland rolling in this one.
Yeah, I didn't really have any notes on this game. Don't know much about either two teams, but I like hearing what you guys are saying because I got Maryland.
All right, cool. Trevor, do we have an identical bracket through the first four games?
I believe so, yeah, we
All
do.
right, let's keep it
And
going.
Brendan's got the same too, right? B, do
No,
you?
he has
Oh no, you've got
Norfolk.
No,
Norfolk State. That's
Norfolk.
right. That's right, of course.
How could you forget about that tangent?
Yeah, I don't know. It's unbelievable.
Before it was, I think it was last episode, I talked about two mid majors that I have going deep. This is my second one. I love this Drake team. The story, it's basically a Division two national championship team turned D1. The coach, all their star players, they play extremely slow, which similar to the Arizona Houston game in the Big 12 championship. I think whoever controls the pace of play wins this game. For that past matchup, I said Arizona needs to speed them up. They didn't. Houston won. I'm going to roll with the slow team. Missouri needs to play quick. Drake doesn't. I think Drake in a ugly, low scoring 52 to 47 win. I love this Drake Bulldogs team.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Drake too. Um, I think that their defense is extremely good. I also love veteran defenses too, because that just shows that like you've seen so many different, packages that the other team brings out. Missouri's got a very dynamic offense, but this just feels like an upset to me for sure. Um, and I can't really have every single SEC team moving on either. I do understand and I do respect Brendan's um opinions. So I think here, yeah, I'm gonna go with Drake. And who's leading the way for them? It's Bennett Stritz. That's right. Bennett Stritz. Um, he's looked pretty good, and I've seen his name a lot on Twitter too.
I
Apparently, he's
saw,
definitely a fan
oh,
favorite
oh
for
yeah.
sure.
I
Yeah.
saw it's a weird analytic stat about this Drake team. They ranked every March Madness team's continuity. So the amount of minutes that their rotation guys have spent together. Normally it's starters and 1-2 off the bench. The amount of minutes that they have all been together, they rank number one in the nation. And it goes back years. They are the most cohesive group of any team here because it goes back to their time in D2. They know each other. I'm taking guys that know each other. Brendan?
Yeah. So I pretty much have two reasons for why I'm taking Drake here. One is because, like you said, everything you said on last week's pod and today. And then the other reason is Missouri's a SEC school, overrated conference. I think they get bounced early.
There you go.
Give me the Red Raiders. Nothing else for me to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, three seed Texas Tech going up against 14 seed
UNC Wilmington. Yeah,
Wilmington
don't care.
I
back
I'd
in the
never heard of
tournament.
them before this bracket.
Interesting.
So
I
I
think
like Texas
I
Tech.
it might be their first time making it. Don't know that for a fact, don't quote me. But yeah,
yeah,
I we all are in agreement. Texas Tech.
yeah, Red Raiders for sure.
Next matchup in what probably is the best coaching matchup of any of the first round. This is elite coaching. Give me the preseason number one. They've looked ugly recently. I don't care. Hunter Dickinson might drop a 2020 game. He's a beast. Give me Kansas.
Yeah, I mean this is a really interesting. It's an interesting dynamic here in this bottom of the region because you've got Providence, Rhode Island is the location of it. You've got St. John's and Rick Pitino there, who I know Brendan loves. Brendan
Hmm.
loves the Johnnies this year. Obviously, he used to coach at Providence too. Then you've got Arkansas with Calipari and Kansas with Bill Self, which is loaded with great coaching. I'm gonna go with Arkansas here. I think that this is one of the situations in my bracket where I look at it and I say, okay, Kansas and Arkansas to me is a total toss up. And I think both teams will lose to St. John's. So
I
I'm
agree.
gonna go with the upset and just take Arkansas. I do also like that. I think that Boogie Fland might be coming back for the Razorbacks, I heard, which would
That's
be a
another
big,
elite
big
name.
addition for them. Yeah.
Boogie Fland.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Arkansas here.
Kind of, I don't know. I had this game kind of like whatever to me, but I feel like I see everybody's taking Arkansas just because they want to see Cal versus Pitino in the second round. They want to see those two coaches go at it, but I just don't see that. So I don't know. Give me Kansas by like 30.
By like 30. Hopefully it's okay with you guys. I just went ahead and skipped over the St. John's Kansas matchup.
Yeah,
Uh Johnny's Johnny's are that team.
Yeah, I agree. I have Arkansas there, but I think, like I said, St. John's beats either team they play in that round.
agreed.
Moving back up to the top, I'm gonna break my trend. Sorry, Big East, you're gone. Florida is that team. Brendan doesn't want to hear it.
Oh,
Florida's that good.
Yeah, I mean, so I've got Florida, UConn here, two of the most iconic college brands in college sports. I like
it's not
Florida
true.
here. It is true. I like Florida here. They're just, I like their consistency more. I think UConn has really lacked that this year. Um, Loved Liam McNeely in solo ball for sure, but I think Florida's too hot going into the tournament, and they're going to be too much for the Huskies. Give me Florida.
All right, so Brendan, you got Norfolk versus Yukon. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I got Norfolk versus UConn. I like UConn there. I think Dan Hurley's just such a good coach. But weren't you guys both saying that teams who win their conference tournaments like historically don't do good in the tournament?
That is true. I don't care.
So that's why I don't think
Florida,
Florida's going very far.
we say
But
that, and we
yeah,
have two conference champions in the Sweet 16.
yeah, I know. And
I
I got
might
a
need
conference champion
I
winning the
might need to
entire thing.
upset here and there. But moving forward, Colorado State, Maryland, Derek Queen.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I'm
go
rolling
with
with Derek Queen.
Maryland here. I've got the same matchup. I'm gonna go with Maryland too. Would not be surprised if Colorado State won here. Um,
I agree. But
but I'm gonna roll with Derek Queen and the Terrapins.
Maryland
Yeah,
finds a way to lose close games, and it does scare me, but
Mhm.
I like
I
to hear
can't
that
support a
because
Mountain West.
I got a Colorado State and Maryland too. But for some reason, I picked Colorado State. And a lot of times when I'm filling out a bracket, I'll just go purely based on like I picked too many high seeds in a row or something, or I just feel like it, and I'll just be like, yeah, give me the 12 seed. So I like Colorado State beating Maryland.
Love it. And I did go on like a 5 minute rant about how much I love this Drake team. I'm taking the Red Raiders. And it's boring. I know I have the 1 through 4 seed, but the West, I don't see a lot of upsets like I did in the South.
Yeah, this matchup I've got Drake and Texas Tech, and boy oh boy, give me the upset. Give
You're
me the
rolling with
upset. I
Drake?
Ooh,
I listen, Texas Tech. Texas Tech's really good. Obviously, JT Toppin is easily one of the best players in the country. but people are like extraordinarily high on them to the point where I think it's gotten a little over the top. And I just love Drake. The Bulldogs and Bennett Stritz and that defense, the veteran experience. Give me Drake going to the Sweet 16.
And I hope you're
Mm.
right.
Yeah, I had Texas Tech versus Drake too, but I'm with Shane on this one. I had Texas Tech going through.
I just they're such a good team. But you want upsets?
Ah,
You guys are gonna hate this.
Oh boy.
mm.
Goodbye, Johnnies. Texas Tech is through to the Elite Eight.
Oh, hate
Big
it.
time pick. I
I
think
just
that
think the
that
Johnnies got to be burnt out. They've played too many close games recently, and conference champions don't tend to go far.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody expects to see St. John's and Texas Tech there. My matchup is St. John's and Drake, and I think this is where the Drake magic ends. Rick Pitino, the Johnnies, I've got them punching their ticket to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I do as well. Obviously, I had them going against Texas Tech, but like I said, I don't watch much college basketball, especially this year I didn't. But the games I've tuned into St. John's, and they just seem like they're just like suffocating on defense. And I feel like if you're that good defensively, that works against these college players. So I
Yeah.
like St. John's.
For the top half, I think this is where Derek Queen can only do so much. Alex Condon and the boys against Texas Tech in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I've got the same matchup in my bracket, Florida against Maryland. Obviously, Derek Queen just carrying that Maryland team. Just a great backcourt present or front court presence. And I don't know though, it's kind of tough to compete with Florida when they've got four big guys in there that can all defend and rebound at the level that they do. So I'm going with the Gators. Moving on.
Oh, I got UConn versus Colorado State in this matchup,
That is
and
gross.
I'm rocking with Colorado State. I don't know. I know nothing about them, but I don't care. I think UConn, back-to-back champs, and they've obviously been in a down year. I think they get those two wins to kind of remind everybody that they're still UConn, but I think that's when their run comes to an end. And I'm taking
Colorado
Colorado
State
State
to the Elite Eight.
Elite Eight.
And then
Love it.
to get out of this bracket, the West champion. Sorry, Brendan. We got Florida, Michigan State in the semi.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yeah, Shane, me and you got the same thing, but I'm picking Florida over St. John's. I was watching the selection show and I was really disappointed to see Florida and St. John's in the same region,
So was I.
obviously. Um, I love these two teams. I just give a slight advantage to Florida. I've got them as my Western regional champion.
Yeah, obviously I got St. John's. I will say to what you just said, Trevor. I was annoyed St. John's. I thought they should have been a one seed. I don't care. I'm biased. I think winning the Big East with 30 wins should be a one seed. But I was actually happy when I saw they were in the same conference as Florida. Because if Norfolk State doesn't upset them, I think St. John's is the team that will beat Florida, and that'll be very satisfying to me.
Yeah, this
So,
guy's got he's got some parental ties to St.
oh
John's as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I am the reason I like St. John's so much. My dad's St. John's alum. He went there, and I also my brother went there. So
Mhm.
got some family
That
ties
makes a
to the
lot more
Right.
Johnnies.
sense.
So he
Yeah,
he's a big Johnny's fan this year. So I'm not surprised that he wouldn't mind seeing them slay the dragon. That's
I would
the
love
Florida
it.
Gators.
But we won't be able to see that because Norfolk State will get the Gators first.
Just not happening. So with that being said, that moves us to the eastern part of the bracket. Again, I don't care which 16 wins. Give me Duke.
Agreed.
Yeah, hate them, but they're winning.
And
Oh, this guy hates everyone.
he hates everybody.
We talk about this all the time too in class. He just hates everybody and
It's just
everyone
not true.
in his
It's just not
path.
true.
I have been as good as I think the SEC is. I've picked most SEC teams to lose round one. Here is not the spot for that. I'm taking Mississippi State. They've played tougher opponents than Baylor has. Very even matchup, but I think the experience carries them over the edge.
Yeah, I like Mississippi State here as well. I just don't really trust Baylor because they haven't been playing well recently, and I think it's important to have momentum going into the tournament. Obviously, here in this part of the bracket, all eyes are on Jeremy Roach, Baylor, former Duke guard. Can he get the win in the first round to likely set up a matchup against his old school? Um, I like Mississippi State here. I like Josh Hubbard a lot, Keyshawn Murphy. Those guys, I think, in terms of talent and the defense that they play, I think they get the job done in this one.
I got Baylor. Mississippi State hasn't been to the Sweet 16 since the 90s. I watched Baylor win the chip a few years ago. I'll take Baylor.
Totally different team,
Insane.
pal. Totally different
Doesn't
team,
Insane.
matter.
pal.
Moving down, here's the first time I don't think that the 12 seed wins. Taking Oregon.
Yeah, I think so. I was tempted to pick Liberty here. They're I haven't really followed them too much, but they seem like a pretty good team, can shoot the ball really well. I like the athleticism and the size of Oregon though, and I think they get it done.
Yeah, I was tempted to take Liberty too, and I did take them. I don't know anything about Oregon's basketball program, but if they're anything like Oregon football, they'll fold. It's just what they do. So give me Liberty.
Just bringing up a whole different sport now to make his
Listen,
analysis.
March Madness, it gets crazy. You can't do the what you see. It just you gotta pick off vibes.
He's the man. This guy's the man.
He's insane. Moving into the next matchup, if you watched the last podcast, you know how I feel about this Arizona team. I absolutely love this Arizona team.
Yeah, I've got Arizona. I think Akron is a um upset potential team, but I think they got a bad draw. I like the way Arizona's been playing. I like the momentum that they've got going into the tournament. Obviously, Caleb Love and them, they just looked really, really good in that Big 12 tournament for sure. Um, and then
Yep.
they hit the wall that is Houston, obviously, but I'm going with Arizona.
Yeah, I got no hate for the Zips, but
I
I'm
I
taking
I
Arizona.
I tell you what, if they would have been matched up with some of the other four seeds, I maybe would have taken them.
I
I think they're
agree.
a really good team, but I think Arizona is just too much right now.
Yeah, I wanted to take Akron, but I couldn't. I took Arizona.
And then I'm rolling with the Mormons.
Okay.
BYU can score. And I actually love this VCU team. They, I think, looking around the bracket, they might be the best 11 seed in the entire tournament. But BYU as a six is insane. I'm taking BYU.
Yeah, I think that this game has a lot of hype around it. I mean, this is probably one of the most anticipated matchups of the first round, just because both of these teams seem like they could possibly make a pretty deep run for sure. BYU, you've got just a lights out offense, can shoot the three really, really well. I like VCU though. I like their defense, and I think that if their defense can hold up, especially with BYU's guards, they're going to be able to win this game. Obviously, for me, used to play at Rhode Island, so I got to give a shout out to my Atlantic 10 teams as well with VCU in there. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Rams here, but I think that both these teams are really, really good. Um, I think that whoever wins this game could really make a deep run in the tournament for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm riding with Shane. Give me the Mormons, BYU.
And that brings us to Wisconsin, Montana. So far, I've been boring. I've picked every favorite to win, but Wisconsin, they're just good.
Hmm.
Led by, I'm blanking on his first name, my last name, Tanjay. He had a phenomenal conference tournament.
John Tonje.
John Tanjay, he couldn't hit a shot against Michigan, and that was the deciding factor. He only scored at the free throw line. I think he had a dunk with like 3 minutes left, but he couldn't hit anything. I think he gets rolling again and takes down Montana.
Yeah, I Montana, I think they played against Oregon
Montana's good.
earlier in the year. They lost by 30 to Oregon. I don't think they'll be ready for the Big Ten basketball, so I've got Wisconsin here.
Yeah, I'm going with Wisconsin too. John Rothstein, who lives, breathes, and dies March Madness, said it's like the best looking Wisconsin team of his lifetime.
No,
So,
they're good this year.
so
Hmm.
I'm rocking with Wisconsin.
And this next matchup hurts because part of me is saying St. Mary's as a 7 feels like too low of a seed for them. They were good. Or sorry, too high of a seed. But I kind of want to stick to my SEC. Don't care. Give me St. Mary's. We're rolling with the favorite every game.
Yeah, I mean, this one feels like a toss up for sure. Um, I'm gonna go with Vanderbilt. Um, I like the I like the style of their team, like the defense. Um, I think Jason Edwards can get it done for them. I do think that St. Mary's, it seems like they're in the tournament every year
And get
and they don't
bounced.
go far. But this team is pretty good, and I wouldn't be surprised if they could make a little bit of a run. I just think that they got a bad matchup with Vanderbilt. I like Vanderbilt here.
I mean, by this point, you already know my take on the SEC. So give me St. Mary's.
I don't think I could choose my selection for the next game quicker. Bama. We'll get into more talk about them later.
Yeah,
Love
I
this
I
Alabama team.
agree. I'm going with Alabama against Robert Morris. Key thing with Alabama is we don't know the health status of Grant Nelson yet. Um, I think that has a big factor in whether or not they go far. But here I've got Bama, of course.
Yeah, they play zero defense, but I'm rocking with Bama. They can score
They can outscore Robert Morris. I'm pretty
for
sure they
sure.
could give Robert Morris a layup every possession, and they would still win by 15.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Next matchup is interesting. I'm taking Duke. I don't care about Cooper Flag's ankle, but this is the first part of the tournament where his health really comes into the picture. I think Con Knipple and the rest of that team can and will carry them past the 16. Carrying them past Mississippi State will be tougher, but I think they can do it. But I need to see Cooper Flag out there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Duke here as well over Mississippi State. I think that obviously with this club, everything banks on Cooper Flag's health, and we don't really know what his percentage is going to be like. But I've got Duke here. I think that, obviously Kunapol he's one of my favorite players to watch
He's so good.
easily. He's just such a good basketball player. Great IQ. And then you've got Tyrese Proctor there as well. Give me Duke here.
Yeah, I don't. My computer screen just completely turned black, so I don't even remember what my matchup was, but I know I'm taking Duke in this. I think
It's
Duke.
Duke Baylor for you, I believe.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
Duke
Yeah,
Baylor.
it didn't matter to me. And same with like Shane was saying, I don't care what his flag's injury status is. I'm taking Duke.
Moving down, we got the Pac-12 reunion.
Oh yeah,
Oregon, Arizona, at least for me.
for me too.
Caleb Love is better than anybody Oregon has, even though they have a guy, Brittle, their center. He's really good. Caleb Love. Just give me more of Caleb Love.
Yeah, I originally had Oregon here at the start of the podcast, but I think I'm actually going to go with Arizona here. It's definitely a toss-up. Um, I just think that in the first round, Liberty has a better chance of upsetting Oregon, in my opinion, than Akron does with Arizona. And so for that reason, I'm going to take Arizona to go further. Um, I agree though. Caleb Love he's playing really well right now. He's so experienced. I've got Arizona going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I have Arizona, Liberty, and same. I got Arizona going. I think that's like one of the few college basketball games I watched one night. Was I caught some of the Arizona game and was watching Caleb Love, so taking Arizona.
As I discussed previously, Wisconsin is very reliant on John Tonje.
Mhm.
BYU is not reliant on anybody. The Mormons are in the Sweet 16. I just
Nice.
they could score the ball so well. They are not one guy dependent. We've seen Wisconsin turn off as a team. We haven't really seen that from BYU. And if you go back the last month and a half, they might be the hottest team in college basketball. Give me BYU.
Yeah, I think this four-team tournament, that's pretty much how I like to look at the bracket. Each section is a four-team tournament. You've got BYU, VCU, and Wisconsin. I see I could see all three of these teams going to like Elite Eight, Final Four type runs. My matchup, I have VCU against Wisconsin. I think the Badgers are just better on paper, and I think they get the job done over the Rams and head to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I had BYU, Wisconsin, and I'm rocking with BYU just because I had Duke and Arizona, and I want another high seed in my Elite Eight or Sweet 16. Sorry.
And I might be picking Bama in this next matchup just because BYU versus Bama might have 300 points. There's going to be zero defense, and I need to see it. Give me Alabama.
Yeah, this matchup here, I've got Alabama against Vanderbilt. Um, I'm going with Alabama. I think their offense is too much for Vanderbilt. They already showed that in the regular season when they played
I
each
got
other. So,
Bama. Sorry.
God.
I got a Bama versus St. Mary's. I'm taking St. Mary's. I don't know a whole lot about them, but if they have a good defense or good offense, Bama plays no defense, I'll just take St. Mary's.
It's got the Gales going to the Sweet 16.
Insane.
Oh, they're not stopping there.
I'm going to stay boring. I'm going to stay boring. This is the game where if Cooper Flag isn't 100%, I'm switching my pick to Arizona. But I'm going to assume by now he's healthy. He's 17. He's going to heal quickly. Give me Duke. They're so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Duke over Arizona here. Um, I think all around they're just a better team. I think they're better pretty much at every position besides maybe point guard. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Duke here.
Yeah, I got Duke, Arizona too. Is Cooper Flag really 17?
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Jeez.
18 now. He started the season
Oh,
17.
he turned
Okay.
18. He
Yes, he
graduated
did.
high
Still.
school a year early.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah,
He's
I remember
ridiculous.
hearing his name for a while now.
He's
That's insane.
insane.
But yeah, I'm good with you guys. I got Duke. I assume Flag will be plenty healthy by then. Give me Duke.
Now, BYU, Alabama, because of the lack of defense, realistically could go either way. But I love Mark Sears. He had his he's had a couple runs to gain experience. He can carry this team anywhere they need to go.
Yeah, for this matchup, I've got Wisconsin against Alabama, the 2 and the 3 seed. I'm gonna go with Wisconsin here. I don't like the fact that I would be taking another 1-2 matchup in the Elite Eight. So I'm gonna go with the 3 seed, Wisconsin, for those reasons.
Hmm. For my matchup, I got St. Mary's and BYU. And I didn't know this, but according to Shane just now, BYU's defense isn't good, and I like to hear that. So give me St. Mary's to make the Elite Eight.
St. Mary's in the Elite Eight is
Hmm.
crazy, but I don't hate it.
It's gonna
And
get
then
crazier.
to win the East region, I'm going to assume Cooper Flag isn't 100%. Give me the no defense tied in the Final Four.
For me, I've got Duke against Wisconsin. I think this is where the Badgers' magic finally ends, and I've got Duke headed to the Final Four.
Yeah, Duke St. Mary's, and this is the point of the tournament where it's not even about what I think is going to happen, and I just don't want it to happen. I don't want Duke there, so give me St. Mary's to make the Final Four.
That is big time. He's got the Gales going to the Final Four.
Dude, in a
I
couple of weeks,
do.
Brendan is either going to look like a psychopath or look like a genius. And I don't know which it's going to
Mhm.
be.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's probably going to be tough look, but I don't care. I got to stick to what I said.
All right,
that's the glory of March Madness.
That's the
That's the
thing.
glory of it.
It's random.
we're going to move forward to the Midwest, kind of fly through this bottom region. Houston over Suey.
Yeah, I've got
I,
uh I've
I
I've
don't
got
think it's
Houston
even
there for
close.
sure. Yeah.
Houston, yeah, no doubt.
Gonzaga, Georgia is a crazy first round matchup. It's one of the ones I highlighted when I first saw this. I think Gonzaga's playing their best ball. They just beat St. Mary's in the conference championship by, it was like 12, 15 points. Give me the Zags.
Yeah, I've got the Zags too. I think this is a really, really good matchup, like you said. I just think that I love Ryan Nembhard. He's just unbelievable playmaker. And got Graham EK there as well. I think it's just going to be too much for Georgia going with Gonzaga.
Yeah, same as you guys. Going with Gonzaga. They've been to like 9 straight Sweet 16s. Mark Few's just a great coach, so give me Gonzaga.
So I've been boring recently, picking the favorite seeds, not a lot of upsets. I love this McNeese team. They are absolute dogs. Last year, a lot of people picked them to upset. It was 5 seed Gonzaga. They matched up terribly. This year, they match up beautifully. McNeese.
Um, I'm going to go with Clemson here. I was one of the fools that picked McNeese last year against Gonzaga, and they
So was
got beat
I.
by 30. Um, so I think for those reasons, I'm going to take Clemson. this year just because they disappointed me last year. But also, I think Clemson's a great team. I think they've got experience from last year as well, making that deep run. And yeah, I like where Chase Hunter's got that team going. So I'm going to go with Clemson.
I'm also going to go with Clemson. I feel like kind of just because it's the nature of the 12-5, everyone always takes the 12, but I feel like I've especially seen McNeese be the pick. So just sort of gambling brain, be the contrarian. Give me Clemson.
I just Why Clemson is a 5 seed and Louisville from the same conference as an 8 makes no sense to me. I think
Zero sense.
I think
I
Clemson
agree.
as a 5 is ridiculous, and that is playing into my McNeese upset.
Mhm.
High Point could cause some problems for Purdue, but I think at the end of the day, Braden Smith just takes care of business. Give me Purdue.
Yeah, so right here, I'm going with an upset. Me and my buddy, Mr. Evan McVeigh, were talking about this. I, I like High Point over Purdue. I think it's the most favorable 13-4 matchup, in my opinion, for the 13 seeds, and I always like to take at least one. So I'm going with High Point here. Get the upset over the Boilermakers.
Yeah. There's no team I love taking more than the team that's playing Purdue in the month of March. So give me High Point.
Fair enough. Next matchup, we got Illinois playing the winner of Texas Xavier. I don't think it matters. Illinois has a professional on their team. Texas and Xavier don't. I'm going to butcher his name if I try to guess it. Eastern European, he's a freshman. Kid is an absolute baller. He started playing professionally at 14, decided to go to college here, plays for Illinois. He is insanely good.
So yeah, obviously we talked about this before with the 11 seed play-ins. You want to have one that's moving on a little bit. I don't have anybody right now for the San Diego State North Carolina matchup, but for here, I'm going with Texas. I think that they beat Xavier and then they go in and beat Illinois. I don't like the disrespect towards Texas. They do have a professional on their team. His name is Trey Johnson, one of the best playmakers in the country. His shot making ability is incredible. I think he takes over this part of the bracket and gets them moving forward to the round of 32.
You could say what you want. I'm taking Kasparius Yakachonis over your boy.
Okay,
It's
Trey
a good name.
Johnson, baby. Remember the name.
I think Illinois is going to be the better team regardless of who wins, Texas Xavier. But I have a friend who's an Illinois fan, and he's really annoying about his sports team. So I'm picking against Illinois, whoever wins Texas Xavier.
The hate towards the friend, man.
Just
That's
hating.
tough.
Kentucky. I'm
Yeah, I've
done
got
speaking on
Kentucky
this.
over Troy.
I
Yeah,
do
I think
too.
it's I'll take away. Love the guy. I think he's just such a great player. I'm taking
Yeah.
Kentucky.
If they were Coach Cal, I would take Troy, but it's not. So Kentucky.
UCLA has looked terrible. Utah State has looked incredible. All the explanation I need, give me Utah State with the upset.
Yeah, UCLA doesn't really have too much momentum right now. Really, really good defensive team. I just like Utah State here. I think their offense is really, really elite and they get the job done over the Bruins.
This was one of those matchups. Again, didn't know anything. I just picked UCLA and kind of what Shane said reinforced my idea. UCLA is playing bad if Utah State's playing good. March makes absolutely zero sense all the time. So UCLA, Bruins. Shout out John Wooden.
Shout out John Wooden. And this pains me to do. As I've discussed, Walford has a guy that shoots underhand granny style at the free throw line and is a sub 30 percenter. But Sakai Ziegler and this Tennessee team is special. Give me Tennessee.
Yeah, give me Tennessee.
I'm not
Enough
going with
said.
Tennessee. I similar to
Of
my
course he
Purdue
isn't.
take. I, Other than the team that's playing Purdue, I like the team that's playing a Rick Barnes coach team.
Dude,
So
Tennessee made a deep run last year, led by Dalton Connect.
yes, but they didn't win the chip. And plus, most of the time,
It was a one man
it doesn't
army.
matter. Huh?
It was a one man army last year. They have a better team this year.
Yeah, but they'll lose.
Hey, we're not surprised. I
My
mean,
next my next pick, my brain is telling me it's stupid, but I think my heart just needs to see it. Give me the Zags over Houston. Give me Gonzaga. Houston plays too slow. They're boring. Get them out.
yeah, I definitely could see the Zags beating Houston here. I have the same matchup. Um, I just think Houston's too good. They've been much more consistent than Gonzaga this year. I'm going with the Cougars.
Got the same matchup as you two, but I like what Shane was saying. Zaga's been, like I said, nine straight Sweet 16s. I think they get there again for the 10th year in a row.
And part of the reason I pick Gonzaga is for this next pick. Give me the rematch. McNeese Gonzaga. Keep it
Wow,
rolling.
that's big
Okay.
time.
McNeese is beating Clemson, beating Purdue. Move them on.
So for here, I've got Clemson going up against High Point. This is actually I believe it's these two schools are kind of a rival, both down in the Carolinas. I've got Clemson. I think they're too much for High Point in this game.
Yeah, I got the exact same matchup as Trevor and same line of thinking. Give me Clemson over High Point.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I've been on many tangents. I'm not going to go down the path again. I love this Kentucky team, and I'm not going to change my line of thinking. Give me Kentucky.
Yeah, I like Kentucky too here. I've got them going up against Texas. Um, yeah, give me Kentucky. Give me the Wildcats going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, same. Don't have a whole lot to say, but give me Kentucky.
And I got Tennessee over Utah State. Tennessee's just too much. And we're setting up another conference SEC battle in the Sweet 16.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Hmm, so you have McNeese and Gonzaga.
Yep.
Okay,
McNeese and
so
Gonzaga.
I've got Houston Clemson, so it's a little different. But you can go ahead first.
I'll go ahead. McNeese lost by 30 last year. They're not losing by 30 this year. Give me McNeese to the Elite Eight. We're going to keep rolling with them.
Incredible. I've got Houston versus Clemson. I think this is where the one seeded Houston falls. I'm gonna go with the Clemson Tigers, rolling like they did last year and make it to the Elite Eight.
I got Gonzaga versus Clemson, and I got Gonzaga. I don't know why. I just really like Mark Few and Gonzaga, and I always like to see when they do well. And maybe one of these years he'll finally be cutting down the nets at the end of it. But I got Gonzaga over Clemson.
Moving to the bottom half. Kentucky has already beaten Tennessee twice. Why not three? Why not three? Give me Kentucky.
Yeah, I've got the same matchup, Kentucky, Tennessee. Man, I'm so back and forth on this one. I'm gonna go with Tennessee, but I don't feel great about that pick, to be honest. I think that this is a really tough matchup for them, but we've talked about it before. It's hard to beat a team three times. And I like what I saw with Tennessee in the SEC tournament, so I'm going to go with Tennessee.
I got Kentucky versus UCLA here. I'm rolling with Kentucky though. I don't
Let's go
see
Wildcats.
UCLA keep going. Yeah, just going Kentucky.
I want to click McNeese so bad to win the Midwest. I want to so bad, but I think Kentucky wins to set up another SEC showdown in the Final Four against Bama. Give me Kentucky to
For,
win the Midwest. Love it.
for my Midwest championship, I've got the 5 seed Clemson against the 2 seed Tennessee. And I think Rick Barnes pulls through this year, and gets the Volunteers to I believe it's their first ever Final Four. I don't know if they've ever been there before, even, which is pretty surprising, but give me the Volunteers headed to the Final Four.
Mm,
Midwest champion. Of
no, hate that. I got
course you do.
yeah, I got Gonzaga versus Kentucky, and
Don't say it.
I'm going with Gonzaga.
Oh,
You know, anti-SEC, but give me Gonzaga. They'll face St. Mary's in the Final Four. Get a little rematch going. Going with Gonzaga.
having Gonzaga St. Mary's in the Final Four is
That's incredible.
insane, but I'm just
Yes,
going to
But
it
go
is.
ahead, select my picks. I think we get another SEC showdown. I'm taking Florida and I'm rolling with Kentucky.
Hmm.
Florida, Kentucky, my national champion, the Kentucky Wildcats.
Ooh,
wow,
Love
big
this Kentucky
time.
team.
wow.
Very nice. That's not really too popular of a pick, so I like that for
Nah,
sure.
I don't think I've seen anybody take Kentucky.
I'm taking Kentucky.
Wow.
Who do you guys have in
So
your Final
for
Four and who's walking away with the trophy?
yeah, so for my Final Four, on the left side, I've got Florida and Michigan State. And here, I mean, both these teams are great, great coaches. I just really like Florida. I like Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin, Alex Condon, and all the big guys in Florida. I've got Florida going on to the championship. Then on the other side, I've got the 1 seed Duke against the 2 seed Tennessee. I'm riding with Duke here. I think Cooper Flag will be healthy by then, and they'll be at full force. I think they get the best of Tennessee. So I've got Florida and Duke in my final. And you know what? I'm gonna rock with the Florida Gators
Of
Let's
for the
course.
go.
months of March and April. I just gotta go all in on being against Brendan Crawford and being his rival for the next month and a half. Give
Yeah,
me the Florida Gators to win it all in San Antonio. I've got them beating Duke and being crowned 2025 national champion.
not surprised you went there. Kind of had a feeling that's what you would do. But I'll get into my Final Four, the correct Final Four. I got Auburn versus the Johnnies, and obviously I got St. John's wiping the floor with Auburn. And then my other one that got a little freaky, I got Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and I'll take Gonzaga. They just beat them in the tournament, I'm pretty sure.
They did.
Um, yeah. So I got the Johnnies and Gonzaga, and no surprise to anybody who's been talking to me for the past, really this whole college basketball season, but especially these past few weeks. I got the Johnnies, I just think they're gonna sweep the floor with everybody.
So we have Florida, Kentucky, and St. John's.
All three representing different teams. Gotta love it.
If we're placing
Yeah.
bets, I would say all three of us are wrong based on
That's
how March
Probably,
goes.
probably.
probably true.
But
Was awesome though.
I'm excited. The first game is tipping off in just about an hour and a half. Back up at the top, Alabama State, St. Francis. So excited to see how that goes. That will take us to the conclusion. If you guys made it all the way through to the end and heard all the talk, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening.
We do indeed, for sure. Um, yeah, great episode, lots of fun. Obviously, we took a little break from sports psychology, just talked about bracketology and getting into March Madness. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, I've got the Florida Gators winning. Shane's got Kentucky, and Brendan's got St. John's. So it's
Good
going to be
Two
job.
lots of
different
fun.
winners.
Can't wait. Obviously, we appreciate Brendan Crawford. general
Thank you for
manager of
joining
the Peak
us.
Performance
No,
podcast, being on.
thank
Very
you guys for having me.
very anti-SEC pro Big West guy. Um,
Yes.
or what conference is the is Gonzaga and St. Mary's? Is it the Big West?
WCC.
Oh, it's the
Yeah.
yeah, West Coast Conference.
West
Yep.
Coast. Yeah. West Coast
Big
and Big East.
pro West Coast Conference guy for sure.
We're
Oh,
also
yeah.
pro
Um,
Big West though. That's the Tritons.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
big
Pro
time.
Big
UC
Go
West.
San Diego.
UCSD. Yeah, but should be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Be sure to like, comment any suggestions you want us to talk about, whether it's sports psychology or any current events going on in sports. We'd love to hear the feedback from you guys and make sure to subscribe as well.